Another year, another iPhone. Actually, that's not true. If you've seen my past videos, then you know that I've been rocking the iPhone 12 Pro up until this point. And now I've finally upgraded to the 15 Pro. I know there's a ton of videos out there already, but this is my take as an average consumer. So if you're like me and you don't upgrade your phone every year, you must be wondering, is the iPhone 15 Pro worth it? Let's check it out. One of the big things for the iPhone 15 Pro this year is that it features new materials for the build. Apple has ditched the stainless steel and replaced it with titanium. The thing about the titanium is that it allows the iPhone to be much lighter than before. And it is something that's noticeable only when you compare it to something like the 14 Pro. Coming from the 12 Pro, I didn't really notice much of a weight difference, to be honest. I will mention one thing though. As a little side note, depending on the case that you get, it can really increase the weight. I currently have the Spigen C1 case, and I was surprised as to how much heft it adds to the phone. To put into perspective, my sister also has a 15 Pro with an OtterBox case, and her phone feels considerably lighter than mine. So we weighed them, and yeah, this case makes my phone 10 grams heavier. It's not a big deal, but I thought it would be worth mentioning. This year, the Pro models come in 4 different colors: black, white, blue, and natural titanium, which is the one I purchased for myself. I know looks are subjective, but I really like the way the natural titanium looks. It actually changes from a sort of sand to silver, and even in some instances, white color depending on the lighting, and I think it's so cool. Continuing along, the frame has been updated too, adding more rounded edges and a brushed metal look. The phone is definitely more comfortable to hold, but it's not really anything to write home about since most people will be throwing the phone in a case anyway. And even though the frame features a brushed metal look, it still attracts fingerprints. Thankfully, not as much as a stainless steel before it. The second big thing is that we no longer have a mute switch. Apple did away with this to introduce the Action button. This is a customizable button that allows you to choose between 9 different actions. It's a cool idea in concept. I've seen people set it up to do a lot of crazy things like locking their front doors or even opening up their Teslas. I have had no such experience. I kind of just left it as a mute button and forgot about it. I would have liked to be able to control my lights with it, but both Govee and Sangled don't work with shortcuts for some reason. So I kind of just left it alone. One thing I will say is that I find myself confusing the Action button with the Volume button when taking a screenshot. Lastly, the other big thing you will notice is the long-awaited introduction to USB-C. Yes, Apple was forced to make the switch because of the European Union, but it's a nice addition nonetheless. The USB-C here is USB 3.0, which allows for faster data speeds, but it's a bit of a bummer that Apple didn't go the Thunderbolt route. You would think that if you're making the switch, you would go all in, but at the same time, I can't remember the last time I plugged my phone into my computer to transfer files. So this really isn't a big deal to me since I use AirDrop. USB-C will open up the doors for third-party companies though to make a wide array of accessories, which will be nice. So this year's model features the A17 Pro chip, and it's the first 3nm chip ever in a smartphone. Basically, this chip is supposed to be fast. As expected, the 15 Pro handled everything I threw at it with ease. Everything from surfing the web to switching between apps to editing 4K videos for TikTok using LumaFusion all worked well without any problems. Where I did encounter issues is with gaming, more specifically with Genshin Impact. I saw some videos floating around showing some major lag when trying to load Genshin, and naturally, since this is my favorite game at the moment, I had to test it out for myself. And well, I have to admit, initially, it was bad. As you can see in the background footage, walking around, fast traveling, fighting, or even doing something as simple as rotating the camera generated so much lag. It almost seemed like it would be unplayable. Luckily, after a bit of running around, the game did eventually smooth out. It wasn't perfect, but there was still some major stutter here and there, but it was definitely more playable than before. It was almost as if the phone was trying to load every aspect in the game first. I mean, Genshin is a huge game, so it's definitely possible. I'm sure that with continued use, it would be a much better experience with time. I was really curious to see if this was a problem with Genshin or the phone itself, so I decided to try out a different game. So, I decided to download Resident Evil, and honestly, the experience here was great. I was quite surprised actually. Everything ran smooth and the graphics looked really good, although it's probably hard to tell through the video. It's hard to believe that this is running on a phone. It left a very good impression on me, so much so that I decided to give Genshin Impact another try. This time around, about a week or so later, I don't know what happened, but it was so much more enjoyable than the previous time. There was very little to no lag, fast traveling from point to point loaded very quickly, much quicker than my PS4. Everything just worked how it was supposed to. Like I said before, I think the phone just needed to load everything first. So if you also play Genshin, just be patient. Also, touch controls are weird. I'm definitely sticking to my controller, but kudos to you if you're able to do it. Switching over to the camera, we see a similar triple camera setup like we saw in last year's model. We have the main shooter, which is the 48 megapixel wide angle lens, which is set to 24 megapixels by default, as well as the 12 megapixel telephoto and a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle lens. As you would expect, the camera here performs really well. Pictures taken by any of the lenses turn out great. There's a lot of detail within the pictures and I'll just let them do the talking. I went on a couple of little adventures around town, and as you can see, the iPhone did a great job capturing the moments. Coming from the 12 Pro, you can really tell a difference in the quality of pictures. Now, of course, a new thing that Apple announced was the different focal points on this camera. These focal points make it seem like you have 7 different lenses on the iPhone, ranging from your macro to the 13mm all the way up to the 77mm on the Pro and the 120mm on the Pro Max. To be fair, half of these focal points are just cropped in images from the main sensor, and as great as they are to have, I just don't see the average person really caring about this. Don't get me wrong, they work really well and it's nice to have the different options for different perspectives when you're taking pictures. Apart from that, I was even impressed with the front-facing camera, more specifically with this picture here. I was under a gazebo, so the setting was darker and the background was bright. I really thought it was going to have a hard time and overexpose the background, but it did a good job. Both my face and skin tone are well represented here, and the background is detailed enough where you can see the clouds and the trees way in the background. Night photography is another area that impressed me. The amount of light and color and detail that these little sensors are able to capture now is amazing. The only thing here is that the pesky lens flare is still present for both picture and videos. Speaking of which, just like the pictures, videos produced from the iPhone are also some version of good. No matter what you do with it, whether it's creating content for TikTok or Instagram, making home videos, or if you're just like me and you use your iPhone for everything content related, you're gonna be happy with the results. I'm actually using the 15 Pro to record this video right now in cinematic mode with 30 frames per second, so let me know what you guys think. The one thing that I love and I think that is going to be a game changer is action mode. I know it's not new to the 15 Pro, but with action mode, you no longer need to carry a gimbal, which means one less thing to carry around. And I'll tell you, the results are impressive. I posted a video on my TikTok showcasing the stability you get from action mode, and it's a night and day difference. Not only that, but if you're out and about and you're trying to get some content, action mode can really help make what you capture more cinematic. With the footage here, I'm simply just walking around a trail and I slowed it down and just look how good it looks. Yeah, so if you're trying to capture the moment, whether it's walking or running around after your kids or pets, action mode is a great addition to have. Battery life is always difficult to talk about because it's different for everyone. It all depends on how much you use your phone, so naturally, my experience is going to be different from your experience. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not a heavy user by any means. I currently average about 3 to 4 hours of on-screen time. With my usage, I can get through 1.5 to 2 days out of my phone, with 1.5 days being the average, and I can get through that comfortably. It really just depends on how busy my workday is. So, to go into detail, I'll wake up, let's say Monday morning, and take my phone off the charger at 6 a.m. I'll check my socials briefly as I get ready for work. Throughout the day, I'll check my socials again, I'll text, online shop, or listen to music as well. Once I get home, I'll switch to using my iPad the majority of the time. By the end of the first day, I typically have around 70 to 50%. Again, it depends on how busy my day is. But keeping that same routine on the second day, I'm usually finishing the day and getting ready for bed with about 10 to 20% remaining. Battery life for me has been great. But again, my usage will be completely different from your usage, so just keep that in mind. So at the end of the day, after using my 15 Pro for the past month, do I think it's worth it? Honestly, it just depends on your situation. For me, coming from the 12 Pro, I think the 15 Pro is totally worth it. There's enough differences here within the hardware and the software to really stand out and make a difference for me. Best of all, the price hasn't really changed much. If you're coming from the 14 Pro, however, I would say to hold off a bit. I feel like we've reached peak smartphone now, and any changes they make from year to year are gonna be small ones, so honestly, what can they really change to make them stand out, right? But yeah, you don't have to upgrade every year now. Phones are great enough to be able to last you 2 to 3 years. The iPhone 15 Pro is no exception. I've been really happy during my time with this phone so far, and I'm looking forward to having it as my daily driver for the next few years. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and slap that like button and let me know your thoughts in the comment box down below. If you want to keep seeing more tech videos like this one, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. That's it for me, guys. As always, I'll catch you on the next video.